To the QI Hanatomy lesson, where we're discussing heads, hands, hips, hearts, and indeed any other part of the body, beginning with H. And joining me with scalpels at the ready are 4 prime specimens of the human body. So give a big hand for Sue Perkins. And a hearty cheer for Bill Bailey. And a hip, hip, hip replacement hooray for Gyles Brandreth. Way, very good. And a hair-raising scream for Alan Davies. Wow. Wow.
Oh, I stopped dead.
Whoa, that was good. And now, thanks to the handiwork of my audio elves, your buzzers should be ready. And Sue goes... I think it was a round of applause. And Bill goes... And Gyles goes. And Alan goes. Oh, we recorded cleverly the audience.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, let's start with H.
Already one of the weirdest shows I've ever been on.
We try and do our best.
This sounds like a pensioner sitting on a bag of Rice Krispies.
You're right.
Really?
It's certainly not someone under 65 sitting on a bag of Rice Krispies, is it?
Or somebody putting their fingers in the socket. Do it again. Slow way to go, but nice.
Yeah, oh, look.
Easy, Tiger. Easy.
Careful.
Easy. Pleasure delay, remember?
Well, let's start with H for hands. What can you tell about someone from their palms?
Oh, how long they're going to live, whether they're going to get married, how many
Future.
children they're going to have.
Can you...
He said the future.
He started it. I just joined in.
Maybe we'll halve the forfeit between you.
Oh, I can't believe I get it.
But no, empirically, and obviously it's never been proved that any such thing could ever be demonstrated by looking at your palms. But there are things you can tell them.
Forgive me, I'm going
Yes.
to say it's never been proved,
Yeah.
but there are people who feel they've done it.
Well, yeah, feeling you've done something is not quite the same as empirical scientific... Thank God you're out of government.
They sweat, that's all they do.
Well,
To varying degrees.
But they have ridges. We'll ignore the lines of palmistry for the moment, but there is such a thing as palm diagnosis. There is a way of finding out predispositions towards rather important and life-threatening,
good God.
happiness-threatening illnesses. Who...
Oh, so it actually will spell something. You're going to...
Alphabetic. You go to D.
And where do we see this? Where does
Do
this
they
happen?
swell up? Do they go
The
red?
ridges of the palms.
The ridges?
Who was responsible for discovering fingerprints? He was a very famous scientist called Francis Galton, whose name was rather ruined by the fact that he believed in eugenics, which was rather discredited.
That's always
But
a shame.
It is a bit, yes. But he also noted the ridges and whorls on the palm. And then 30 years later, in the 1920s, it was discovered that those with Down syndrome have completely different palms from anyone else. And then by the 1960s, at least 20 conditions were shown to present themselves on the palms.
Look how gullible we are. We're just like this. Giles and I like that.
Yeah.
Helos!
You can also...
Make us whole again.
There are also indications...
Tip us!
We work for food.
Yeah.
But going back, if I may, to palmistry, all I will say is this, that you dismiss palmistry, but there were people 100 years ago, perhaps the wisest people of the time, who consulted palmists.
Indeed, they were, including, of course, our mutual hero.
Our mutual friend, Oscar Wilde, but Mark Twain did.
Mark Twain, yeah.
Queen Victoria, I think, did.
massive,
Edward VII did.
Gladstone.
And they...
Who was the palmist they consulted?
They consulted a man, Oscar Wilde certainly consulted a man called Cairo, based on...
Cairo from...
Cairo from the Greek meaning hand.
But his real name was?
His real name was William Warner.
You're right, there he is. He was Irish.
He was Irish, and his great-great-grandson's brother married Elizabeth Taylor, Senator Warner. But that's just incidental.
That's good to know, yeah. He also called himself Count von Hamon. But no, that's a really good answer on William Warner, and that's superb to hear. Splendid answers all round. Thank you very much. The fact is, palmistry won't tell you your future, but it can tell you your past in the form of genetic markers that were set down while you were in the womb. Somebody playing with me.
It sort of looks funny
There
what
is
you're doing.
a piece of wire. I've been goosed by the palm of a skeleton.
I've been sitting there for 10 minutes thinking, when shall I do it? When shall I do it?
Thank
They're
you.
talking about palms. It should be now. It should be now. Hey!
This is
You see? It had to end. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Just don't know your age.
Sorry. Keith, man, my head's come off.
Oh, my heavens. Thank
Wow.
All right, just imagine
That'll do
that.
it.
Carry on, carry on.
you. Yeah.
They actually look a little bit like the cheeky girls.
They do. Yes. Answer me another question. Okay. Marcel Proust.
À la recherche du temps perdu.
Very good. Now, why did Marcel Proust have such a limp handshake? There he is. There's Marcel.
He hasn't slept for about 5 years. Look at him.
Yeah, see, I feel bad saying this, but I know he was a known homosexual.
He was well gay.
No, I don't. Well, he was well gay. But I don't want to say that he had the limp handshake because he was gay. It's like saying he loved to buy scatter cushions and just throw them around the gaff of the weekend. I mean, it seems a really, reductive thing to say, but I don't know if it's...
There are types of gay who go around in muscle vests and are very butch, and there are types of gay, like Marcel, who are rather limp-wristed and who like ornament and design. He famously wrote only in a cork-lined room. He was very sensitive and so... But...
What, he was very buoyant?
Buoyant.
He could go to sea at any time.
Yes,
He could
yes.
set sail.
He could write anywhere in the world.
Well,
Oceans, anyway.
Yes.
I'm going to offer a thought.
Yeah.
OK?
Right.
He, being gay, spent a lot of time in North Africa.
Tangiers.
North Africa.
And one of the things that I discovered when I spent time in Africa...
Are you coming out? Is this a coming out story? Because if it is, that'll be the picture, so just watch out.
Why not? Tonight could be the night, you're right.
It could be the night.
I know your party's behind you.
Yeah, indeed. It's fine.
Yes, Joe.
I'm going to suggest this. When I went to Africa, I was quite disconcerted to find that traditionally the African handshake is not simply very soft, but it lingers. Shake my hand.
Oh, it's just an excuse again.
No, I think...
But the injunction, Gyles, the
in
injunction.
Europe, we shake hands
Don't
like...
touch him!
In Europe, we shake hands like that. I think in Africa, we shake hands like this, and we hold the hand. I have a lot of experience of this.
Stop it.
He's a
in
dementor.
Africa.
He's glued me. I can't get out.
I don't wish to name drop, but I went to interview Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and he held my hand like this for a long, long time.
Did he?
And he was saying to his age, who is this again?
I'm thinking that Marcel Proust spent time in North Africa and rather liked this tradition and brought it back with him to Paris.
It's an interesting idea. I have no evidence that Proust went. I know that André Gide went to North Africa.
That's what I'm
a great
thinking
deal.
of.
You're thinking of André Gide. But never mind.
You sweated on my hand for that?
André Gide was out and proud. He was probably the man who invented the word homosexual, as it were, in his book Corridon. And he was out. Marcel was not out. Marcel was embarrassed and ashamed of being gay, and indeed he went to brothels to try and cure himself. It didn't
we've all
work.
tried that.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
The North Africans hold a hand like that, my darling.
No, it was a sort of double bluff is the only way I can explain it. He had a friend, a Romanian count, who said to him, look, I can teach you how to do a more manly handshake. Then people won't think that you're an invert, as the word was then.
Invert?
An invert,
As
yeah.
a gayer.
A gayer, yeah. And Marcel Proust said, no, if I do that, people will think I'm trying to look straight. Oh. Whereas if I confidently am all limp...
It's a double bluff.
It's a double bluff.
Good Lord.
Do you know anything about
spending
it?
too much time just drinking cider and I should have been reading the novels of Proust, I feel I've missed out.
Well, it's famous for people never actually having read him.
Has anybody finished it?
It's
Never finished
enormously
Has anybody
long.
finished
There's a famous scene that opens in Du Côté de chez Swann.
The brisket scene. The brisket scene.
Describe it.
I can't describe it, but it is
Does
to
it
do...
involve touching?
No,
it
it
involves
could. If you want to be the
Don't
little
touch
biscuit.
him!
If you want to be the little biscuit, what is the
I
little
don't want to be your little biscuit.
A madeleine.
I don't want to be your Madeleine.
The little madeleine.
No, I don't want to.
The smell of the madeleine evokes for him always. It takes him back.
Yeah, the
to
whole
past.
book springs
It
from one
springs.
moment. It's an epiphanic moment where the narrator has a cup of tea and he dips a biscuit in his little madeleine. You know, those scallop-shaped biscuits.
Oh.
He dips it in, and as he's just bringing the tea and the biscuit to his lips, he gets the smell of the tea and the biscuit, and the entire world of this 7-volume novel comes into his head. It evokes a memory. You know the way smells do. You get a smell,
Yeah.
Wait a
and
minute.
it takes you...
You're trying to say this whole thing's based on a dunking incident?
Yes, exactly. And that is, you will find often people referring to, that was my Madeleine moment, where they suddenly, something triggered a whole series of memories they never knew they had.
But the joy is you don't need to read the book. You just need to buy the biscuit. Dunk. Oh, yes,
No,
the
it
whole
only
thing
worked
is
for
about-
him because he, as a child, sat with his aunt.
So we can do it with a
got this
hobnob.
biscuit. It might be a hobnob for you. It might be the smell of who knows what for you, Bill.
All right, the inside of a
senses.
tennis ball or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inside of a tennis...
Inside of a tennis
Oh, it's
ball,
got a
yeah.
very rubbery...
Got a
Yes.
lovely rubbery
Specific-
smell.
You
Yeah.
slit it and just
Oh,
work
good.
it. It's good.
Like, why don't you?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just bringing it back to my level
Yeah.
for a moment.
I know.
Talking tennis balls and why don't you? It's a highlight of my childhood.
know
I may write a 7-volume
Yeah.
novel about it.
To handshakes, we said that palms don't reveal personality. Do handshakes?
I don't like a feeble handshake. It gives me the creep.
No, it's not right.
I don't
is it?
like a sweaty hand. That's the worst.
I don't like it when there's something left on your hand.
I have to say...
Residue.
I don't like the other hand coming into clasp either.
Oh, the
That's
clasp
a power thing.
The second thing.
Isn't that a power, like a dominance thing?
Is
like,
it?
It is totally.
Me,
Well, it's-
man.
But when you see people holding hands, the dominant figure, if you see them walking down the street, the dominant figure is the figure with the hand on the outside. Hold my hand.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Close your eyes and hold my hand.
Not again.
Don't do it.
This is over in a moment. Just take my hand.
I'm looking away.
All right.
No, you do it. You've got to take my hand. You've let me dominate you. You've let me dominate you.
Oh, so
You chose. I just held my
Wait, so
hand.
what would you
You
want
put
to
your
be
hand
submissive
under
or
mine.
dominant? I mean, don't stop stroking the under thing of it. Who does that?
Wow.
Who does that? He just did it.
Oh, that's weird.
You
He
said,
did
you
inverted
said you
crab.
liked it. You said it earlier. You said you liked it.
No, that was
you said you
inverted
liked
crab.
it.
No, I
Oh, God.
You did say you
They're
liked
having
it.
a row.
I've now got two
Did the
soiled.
tickle?
He did do
The crazy spider?
He did do the crazy spider.
Well, no, handshakes do tell us a lot, don't they? I mean, individually, we instinctively respond, as we've just shown,
Yeah.
to handshakes
like a
that repel
crunch,
us.
yeah. I
Exactly.
don't like a crunch.
Well, Paul Flynn, the Labour MP in Wales, actually suggested that people who gave really strong handshakes should be charged for assault.
He's not a busy man, is he?
So anyway, Marcel Proust used a limp handshake because he wanted to conceal the fact that he was gay in an elaborate kind of double bluff. Now, I want you to imagine you've been transported to the 19th century and the trip has given you a banging headache. You want to have a hole drilled in your head to get rid of the pain and the pressure. So where's the best place to have it?
For trepanning.
Germany?
Exactly where they can now read my mind. These days.
It's amazing.
It's the 8th series, I suppose.
It basically is. Germany, you said no. Germany
In
probably
the
not
top.
the best
Don't
place.
They trepan in the top.
But literally, where is the best place to go? You're in it's the 19th century. Should it be Europe? Should it be
Sorry.
America?
Harley Street.
Harley Street is a very bad place to go.
They would go to...
Margate.
France.
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 Didn't they, in Africa, they
Africa,
Japan.
Africa probably a better bet than Harley Street.
Yeah.
But it seems that Papua New Guinea would probably be the best place. In the 19th century, if you had this, what's it called again? You used the word
Trepanning.
trepanning. Yeah, 78% of those who had it done in London and the West died.
From blood poisoning.
But in Papua New Guinea, from
Why do people keep going?
cross-infections.
That's incredible. 8 out of 10 people died.
Yeah.
I'm up for it. My head.
Yeah, but it wasn't because they had a hole drilled in their head. It was because they got infected.
What was it for, the trepanning?
Well, to relieve pressure,
fear.
supposedly earlier. It's it's the original form of surgery, that, as far as we know from archaeology, the oldest form that ever there was. And we know that it was, well, I won't say successful, but we know that it wasn't a failure. There's a way of knowing that it didn't kill people, which is...
If
Some of
this
them
tissue,
survived.
A little bit of tissue grows.
Yeah, you see the skull has completely rehealed, but you
rehealed.
see, because people have lived for years afterwards.
They used to put coins in the hole and things like that. They used to put stuff, you know, because you're left with a big gaping hole. You do want to seal it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You could
people
put like a
used to-
dispenser and turn your head into a Pez machine.
But it
Just
was
press your ear.
Originally, it was in older cultures, you'd clamp
What are you doing?
the victim's head between your legs, and you'd just get a stone, a sharp piece of obsidian or flint, and you'd scrape onto the
away, yeah.
scalp and grooves and grooves. And you can see this, obviously, in old skulls. And here,
Yeah, he's
even
not-
there...
he's not happy about
that. He's not happy. But
this and climb
Prince
trees,
Rupert,
yeah?
nephew of Charles I,
Oh,
played by Timothy Dalton in the film
Ah,
Cromwell.
now I remember.
Yes, you see. Yeah, he had a trepanning. He had terrible headaches. He had trepanning.
Yeah.
But there was Prince Philip of Nassau in the 1590s. In 1591 alone, he was trepanned 27 times.
His head would look like a tea bag, it'd be so good for it.
Yeah, his head would look like a colander, frankly, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But it didn't kill him. In fact, he went on later to win a drinking competition against someone who died from drinking too much, and he carried on drinking. So that the 27
Beer
trepans
was
in 1
pouring
year.
out of his head.
It's amazing.
Beer hair.
So the point is, in New Guinea, they used found sharp things to do the hole and then pour coconut milk over it, which is sterile. Whereas in the 19th century in Britain, they were in hospitals where all kinds of cross-infections were possible, and it was a lot more dangerous for that reason. But what about, do you know about open craniotomies, open brain surgery where someone is conscious? Why would you want someone to be awake while
So
you're
you know
operating?
that they can use their fingers and
That's
their
right. So you
senses.
know you're not... Because we still know so little about the brain that there is every chance that you're an inch out in where you're operating and you can ruin a speech centre or motion centre. There's a man called Adcock. Eddie Adcock, I think his name was. He's quite a senior figure in the world of bluegrass music. He had a hand tremor and they decided to do one of these conscious craniotomies on him, and we actually have film of him.
Oh, really?
He plays the banjo all the way through
No.
the operation
Ding,
while
ding,
they're
ding,
operating
ding,
on his
ding,
brain
ding,
to
ding.
check that they're not interfering with his... So can we see
see
Mr.
it.
Adcock? There he
My
is.
goodness.
And how about now? No problems? Nothing, okay? Let's... Problem. Okay.
It's pretty astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I saw it in Star
that
Trek.
is mental.
Yeah.
They took Spock's brain clean out
Yeah.
and replaced it with another one.
Oh,
they
yes.
did it all, and he lay on his back, and they put a kind of board over his head like that. And then the
yes,
man
that's
stood behind going, right, the brain's out now, and then the new brain's in, and then they took the board up, and his head was absolutely fine.
But the fact is, trepanning is the oldest known form of surgery, and in the 19th century, you're better off having it done in the jungles of Papua New Guinea than in the hospitals of London, from holy heads to holy heads. Now, can you tell me where the halo should go on this saint?
Oh.
Can you see that her head is
Oh, I see,
separated
it's gone.
from her body?
She's holding it.
It looks like the fellow with the beard's done it by accident.
Do you think he just gesticulated?
Oh, God, it's come off! And the little bloke behind him's going, I told you, I told you!
She asked for half a kilo of Roquefort, and he was clumsy with his cheese cutter. But it...
I'm so sorry.
Does it depend on where we think her soul was?
Well, yes, it's up to the artist, but it was a really moot point. Do you
Was it
put it over...
stump?
Yeah.
Or maybe two. Could she have two?
That might have been a
That
much...
would have been a diplomatic solution, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Some artists would depict her with it over the stump, as it were, where her head was, and others where her head is now, in a sort of ring, an aureole. There are different names for halos. Do you know any others?
Oh, nimbus.
A nimbus is a good name.
Glorioli?
Gloriole is one.
Gloriole.
No, glorioli. We say glorioli.
Do we? It's a shame, because gloriole is somehow better. I don't know why.
Glorioli sounds more like a biscuit.
Describe the Pope's gloriole.
Ah, now I've seen this as a Catholic. It's something you have to look at. Yeah. Some have square.
Some
seen
do
it
have
online.
square
I
halos,
think
you're right.
Pope Gregory had a square
My
gloriole.
goodness, you...
I wasn't Catholic.
And yes, you're absolutely right. He was the first Pope, Gregory the Great, there are many Gregories, obviously, to declare that he should have a nimbus, he should have a gloriole. And
Gloriole. Gloriole.
But gloriole is so much funnier. Come on. You're too innocent to know what a gloriole is.
Oh, I see, that was a rude joke.
Oh, sweet, sweet boy.
So can you have any shape, L'Oreal? Can
Yes.
you have some square ones and...
Yes.
The triangular ones.
Triangular
I
ones
think there's
for-
triangular
hang on.
ones.
Have you got a triangular L'Oreal?
Triangular Gloriole. Whoa, somebody shoved a Toblerone through it.
Wow.
It's been done if one's allowed to be a little bit rude, there is a church in Mexico that people visit in order to see the gloriole of St. Joseph, the father
Right.
of our Lord, nominally, where his private part has a little halo above it.
Really?
Well, being Jewish, he would have had the real halo removed, so I suppose that makes sense.
The moil would have come and
The moil would have come,
would have
right.
taken that halo
It's
off.
known as the Ring of Confidence.
Extraordinary.
How extraordinary, really? And is that common?
It's on his member. It's
So like a sort of angelic Prince Albert.
It's on
One would assume...
whatever that may be, possibly.
One would assume that it is a local pre-Christian cult idea. I mean, for example, in Nigeria, there are parts where it used to be common as a kind of handshake to touch, in some tribes, to touch the penis
Don't do it.
of the person.
I didn't realise that was a possibility, but how interesting.
So, and I'm sure there may well have been some Mayan or Aztec thing in...
I feel I've seen paintings with animals with
Oh, the
halos.
oxen in the stall at the Nativity, for
That sort of
example,
thing.
or the donkey on which Christ rode into Jerusalem.
Yeah,
I
so
suppose.
donkeys can have them.
Yeah.
Oh, who's that fella?
Oh, look, there we are. There's another one.
There's a sparkler.
That's Saint Denis, the patron saint
There is a
of...
sparkler in his head.
There is a sparkler in his head.
St. Denis, he's got a sparkler on his head as well as a halo on his decapitated head. St. Denis, or Saint Denis, is the patron saint of Paris.
Paris, yes. It's,
And indeed headaches.
it's the same fella going, I've done it again.
Yes, it is. That seems to be...
It's come clean off. I told you.
That's the second time this week.
I'm so clumsy.
It keeps happening.
I'm just swinging the thing around, not thinking.
He's a clumsy barber, isn't he? I'll just give a little trick. Oh, no, oh, sorry.
That's why I've got such a long beard. I don't trust myself.
And there's a member of the Chippendales just looking on.
Yes, exactly. Which is always nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely display.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
So, good, excellent. When a saint has his head chopped off, his main worry seems to be knowing where to put his halo. Now, how would you know if you had a shrunken head? Ah.
Oh.
I'm going to give you... I'm going to give you some.
Oh,
yeah.
is it real?
Well, that's my question. How can you tell whether you have an authentic shrunken head? You need to have one.
Oh, I see.
Or
Whether,
it's
how can you tell that you actually have a shrunken head
Does it
yourself?
come with a
Well, no,
certificate?
that you could
Well, that would
probably...
be easy,
Oh, well,
'cause
there,
there we
like-
are, you
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Is
your
one
own
of these
story.
real?
Well, what do you know about shrunken? Where would you get one? There are some real ones.
Ecuador.
Well, I would
Peru.
say
Ecuador is exactly right, Sue.
Right.
This is brilliant. You're on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is impressive. Do you know the name of the tribe or
No.
people? It's
No.
the Shwa people. Yeah.
Shwa.
The Shwa people, who are a clan
Yeah.
of the
Shrunkies.
Shabara tribe in exactly the area. Exactly the area.
Oh, look, you put this in the back of your car.
Yay!
So you think this is an early nodding dog?
Yes.
That feels like horsehair or something to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't fit.
It smells.
They're still doing it.
Well, no, not officially. It's against the law. But in every Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, there's at least one. There's 29 by our count. But, oh, that's lovely. Give me a recipe. How would you do it?
Well, how would you actually...
How would you shrink a head?
Put it in the washing machine at a
Sorry,
very
but-
high heat.
That would do it.
Wow!
So, I mean, it's a normal
Well,
human
you've
head,
got to
but
take
it's
the skull out.
reduced to the size. Those are real size.
You'd have to take all
Well,
the
you
skin
don't-
off someone, wouldn't you?
You take
Yeah.
all the skin off in one go, right, including the hair. You throw away the skull and the eyes into a river, if you're a Shwa tribe. So you've got the skin, all right, you've got this whole skin. Then you turn it inside out,
Yeah.
and you
Obviously.
scrape it.
Nice.
Look, I didn't invent this, yeah? Then you get it back the right way again, keeping all the features as perfect
Much
as you
like
can.
skinning a rabbit.
Yeah, then you bind the lips together, you sew them together and sew the eyelids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Then you pop in hot stones and sand,
Right.
right?
To give it
Yeah.
shape.
I'm making
So
note
you
of
chuck
this.
To
some
heat
eyes
it up,
in a
yeah.
river.
Then you simmer it.
How long do you simmer it for?
Boiling water. Gas mark too, my darling.
Bay leaf?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bay leaf. It's always, you never go wrong with that. Bay leaf. And then you kipper it, you smoke it, essentially. And voila.
To what purpose?
Well, They're a pretty ferocious group of people, these Schwa, and they're the ones who are famous for
Oh,
dipping...
for the man with the molten lava. Are these is this the cruelest people in the history of the world?
Well, they're certainly
I
pretty
remember the teacher who taught us this. He was pretty vicious himself.
Right.
And there was a Spanish general who tried to tame this Schwa tribe.
Yes.
And they had the last laugh. They took him, they pulled open his mouth, they poured molten gold down his gullet until his bowels burst.
That's exactly right. And it sounds like a good repayment for his greed for gold.
Indeed. Well, that's why they use gold.
Yeah, indeed.
why are
And
they
they're
so
also
unpleasant?
they're the tribe famous for dipping darts in curare, the poison
curare,
beloved
yes.
of detective writers.
So that's the one that gets your central nervous system.
Absolutely.
They've got lovely bobble hats, though.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
It's a good look. Yours are not human. They are goat or alpaca. Right. And these are available in Ecuador as tourist knickknacks.
Oh, I see. So that's a goat's face.
Well, at least goat skin. And you can usually tell one that's done by either someone imitating the tribesman is that the lips are too neatly sewn up. In the originals, they're really pretty basic. And
Yeah.
And is it to preserve relatives? Or...
it's a kind of gleeful, joyous, gloating,
do
I
it-
own you, I've
To take the
reduced
spirit
you.
out of
But
your...
it's not a compliment. It's not
Oh, no, I don't
Granny's gone, let's keep it at the end of
Oh,
the bed.
no, no.
What do you really think about Uncle Bill, Grandma?
I hated him. I've always hated him.
If you hand them back, I've got another little experiment for you to... Oh, thank you so much. Well, I've got something else to give you here. All we want you to do here, I'm going to hand these blank £2 coins. Just try and draw the Queen's head as she is on the coin.
The Queen's head on the...
Yeah.
OK.
Is she wearing a crown? Is she, just... But an outline. We want...
Which way does she look? No one knows.
No, don't ask for help.
anybody else?
Hey!
The left-
Alan Davies, I'm going to take points away if you cheat.
How do you think I got through
points.
school? How do you ask for help?
Is everyone done?
Yeah.
Yes.
She looks like Lenny Henry on
Quicker.
mine, unfortunately.
Well, that's all right.
OK, done.
OK, when Alan's done... OK, all you all hold them
like
up.
it.
Mine
There we
looks
are,
like a
there we are.
triceratops.
And let's have a look at yours. There. And you're extraordinary. The point is, you've all, especially Bill somehow, you've all made the fundamental error that everybody makes in thinking
profile.
she faces left. She faces right. You've done that.
You said left.
Yeah, because most people think
Sorry, it's too late now.
that. 88% of people think the Queen faces left on her coins.
88%.
On every coin that ever was stamped since she was Queen, it's always faced the right.
Never ask
Always.
for help.
Do they take it in turns? So
Yes,
did
they
her
take-
father
they
face the other
alternate,
way?
yes.
And Prince Charles,
Yes,
should he be
Straight
spared?
on.
We'll
He's
take
full
the-
on with the ears like
they
that.
alternate. They've alternated since Charles II.
But does she not face the other way on the paper money?
No, on the
the
stamp.
On the
And
stamp.
that's,
All right.
that's it's one theory. One theory as to why 88% of people seem to think she faces left is because she does on the definitive edition of the stamps, which we can see here. We're all familiar with that image. But on the other hand, that's true in Denmark. Queen Margrethe, they also think she faces left, but on the stamp she looks out. And on the coin, she looks to the right.
Wow.
But if you ask a Dane which way she faces on their coins, they will say, as most of us would, left. It's something to do probably with right-handedness. We just picture a profile that way. It's really strange, but because we handle these things every day, unless you're Gyles when you have someone to do it for you. But it's bizarre that we just don't notice, isn't it?
So that's all coins?
All coins with the Queen's head on.
And how long has that been? Ever
Since the
beginning of
she came
time?
to the
Her
throne. No, it alternates between monarchs. So her father faced left.
Oh, I see.
And
So
his
it's-
father, George V, not counting because the abdication was a wrinkle, but George VI.
So if you could get all the coins
There
of
we
all the monarchs together, or alternating monarchs, and just you could flick through them,
Yeah.
they'd be doing...
It would. It would be like a tennis match. It would be exhausting. Yeah. So the Queen has always faced to the right on all her British coins of her reign, and yet tests have shown that up to 88% of people draw her facing the other way. Now, what happens if you try and comb a hairy ball?
Ask Bill.
Ask Bill. Bill, what happens when you try and comb a hairy ball? Have a hairy ball. Have a hairy ball.
You have
Let's
to
see.
focus.
There you
You have
go.
to concentrate, and your hand mustn't slip at any time.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Well, you can sort of obviously have a combing action.
Why would you do this?
There you are, there's your
Why are
hairy
we
ball.
doing? Why are we combing?
Because
the
it's an
hairy ball?
interesting mathematical, topographical...
Look at this. It's
Giles.
Don King. Look at that.
Oops. Yay! I just want you to comb it so that it
all
all
coming out.
lies in the same direction, perfectly
Oh.
combed.
Oh, I see. You can't actually...
Keep going round and round.
It keeps going round and round.
Yeah.
You comb a hairy
So you
ball.
can't actually do it.
The point
Never
is,
stop.
there's a mathematical principle. A trichoglyph is bound to occur, which is like a cowlick, like a crown, you know, where
Oh,
your
I see.
crown
When it all
sticks
goes
out?
into one little
Yeah.
bit, it'll stick up like that.
Yeah, like it twirls. It's
Right.
actually like a cyclone. If it was the Earth, it would be a cyclone. If
Mine looks like Anne Robinson.
There it is on a man's head.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
So this is a
Giving mine centre
mathematical...
parting.
It's a mathematical thing that you can't... Yeah, if it was a donut or bagel shape, a torus, you could comb it all the way around and facing the same direction without this twirl. But it's
Right.
because it's a sphere, you have it. And so, as it were, in theory, every planet, even if it weren't going around, would have a cyclone in it, which is what that sort of is, that swirl.
This is why there are no hairy planets.
That's why there are no hairy planets.
It's an impossibility.
Do you have... Very nice.
Look at that.
Some people have double crowns. You know, your barber will say, oh, you've got a double crown, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've combed... Oh, look at that.
no, Alan.
They do some trepanning.
Oh,
Don't do that.
whoa. And now, really, to keep thematic, you've got to shrink it.
Yeah. Turn it into
I've
that
got the
and scrape
recipe
it.
if you want it.
Yeah, she noted it down. Now, an interesting thing about this cowlick is that on most people, what do you think, clockwise or anti-clockwise? Most men?
Clockwise.
Clockwise, you're right.
Yeah.
And only 8% of men have an anti-clockwise one. But 30% of gay men have an anti-clockwise one.
Is that a double bluff, Proustian style?
No, it's
deliberately combing
you
it
can't
round.
control it. It's not. You don't. It's you're born. It goes one way or it goes the other from birth. There's no. You can't force it the other way. And so it's almost as if it's a physiological proof, at least of a certain percentage of gay people.
Nature's decided.
Yeah. So you and your Conservative Party
Yes.
will go, oh no, we mustn't have lessons in being gay or it'll turn everybody gay. It's all there in the hair.
But this is why most of my friends have got double crowns, because they're Tommy Two-Ways. It explains everything.
Only two ways. So, the comb-over we covered. What is there extraordinary about the comb-over? Oh, look, there's lovely. Historically, in America, it was patented. Patent number 4,022,227 for how to disguise baldness by combing over your hair. So if Robert Robinson, yeah, you are in breach of someone else, you will be sued. Wow, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Would you like
That
to...
is
Hey.
some sexy
Would you like
stuff.
some red
Can I
hair?
say butch and gay?
I'm a Tommy Two-Ways. I can go this way. I can get it to go all the way around.
Oh, you're a Thelma Three-Ways.
I'm a
Well. Oh, you've done it
Oh,
all
that's
now.
nice. Over the ear is lovely.
How's that?
Delicate.
Now you can...
Hello. I'm the constituent for Stornoway.
Oh, heavens above.
I'm the Tory MP. And homosexuality is a disease. Can be cured by excessive combing. Out, vile demon! Out, vile demon!
Fabulous.
It's
Thank
a
you.
terrible curse!
Right, hand them back. Hand them back. You are in trouble.
I'm always in trouble.
Yes, you are.
All my life.
Now, what can you tell me about the Chinese hula hoopla?
I know that they do massive demonstrations of it with thousands of people doing
With ribbons of various kinds and so on, but there
Yeah.
was a particular time.
Tiananmen
What is there
Square.
famous about the hula hoop in our culture, or at least in the West?
1958.
flavours.
1958. Tell us about 1958.
Well, 1957, I got my Davy Crockett hat.
Right.
And 1958, I got my first hula hoop.
And that was the year of the hula hoop.
It was the year of the hula hoop, and you should have seen me. I was called Dizzy Hips Gyles.
Oh, good God.
We all began doing it.
Ah, yeah, but the all thing is extraordinary because it was a one-year thing. It was a huge craze. I mean, we've all remember various toy crazes, perhaps, and game crazes when we were younger. But this one was the mother of.
Sorry.
No, this one was the mother of them all, and the extraordinary thing about it was it disappeared as fast as it came.
And it was a disaster. My uncle put money into it because it was
Yeah.
so big, and lost it all.
They
The
sold
hula hoop,
millions
the
of
greatest craze in the history of the world,
was.
actually failed to make any money. Everyone on the planet owned one, and still they lost.
Well, particularly, the company Whammo, who made them...
May have been the name.
They millions... No, it still exists. They were a successful company. But
They made the
that was
Frisbee,
the
didn't
one year they made a loss. Because despite the fact that millions and millions and millions of people bought a hula hoop, there they are, it ended so quickly they'd stockpiled expecting it to last till Christmas.
That
and
is
it
my
just
mother.
completely ended. There you are.
So
Well, I
everyone-
suppose because the thing is, they don't really wear out, do they? You know. So
No,
once
they don't, that's
once
true.
you get one, that's
you don't
it
want
then.
another
But
one.
what does wear out is the fun, clearly.
And your hips
Yeah.
Yeah.
will degenerate over
They should have
time.
made them out of something else, something sort of biodegradable. Made them out of, cheese or something.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese. Brilliant. Well, in China, they had a similar fad in the early 90s. Millions and millions of people bought them. And then there was a hysteria because there were 3 people who went to hospital with twisted intestines.
They obviously tried to eat them. They obviously the hula hoop thing was lost in translation.
Well, the Chinese state media said we should stop hula hooping because of the... But actually, you're quite right. It was certainly nothing to do with hula hooping.
Even old Dizzy Hips Gyles.
Even... Do you never twisted your intestines?
I didn't. I have to say, it's quite difficult to hula hoop, and it's boring.
It's not. It's nice.
But actually, if you can do it also on your arms... I had 3 hula hoops.
That's a
at one
skipping rope.
stage. Oh, is it? You're right.
Wait a minute.
What's
Here
that?
we go now. Cut live to
That
the
is-
Liberal Party.
Now, what's
that's
that?
the
Liberal Party
hula bit.
conference.
Now, this is
the hula.
This is the home of the hula. This is
This
Hawaii.
the dance
Look at
itself called a hula, yeah.
She knows what she's doing, doesn't she? Yeah,
And a hula is a whole celebratory thing. You have a...
Yep.
You use...
That guy's having brain surgery playing the guitar.
I do love the band. They're great.
Oh, they
And
are,
they-
aren't
They're thinking this is the best gig
This is
ever.
brilliant.
They look very
Enjoying
happy.
this band, I've never stopped smiling.
Can you suggest a theory as to why the hula was so big in '58, the hula hoop?
Post-war optimism.
End of rationing. Oh, rationing into mid-50s, isn't it?
There's a thought maybe it was the Elvis.
Elvis Presley.
Elvis the
It made you
pelvis.
kind of do things with your hips.
Gyrating.
It was a gyrating.
And there was the whole Hawaiian thing
pelvic
through him as
and
well.
the Hawaiian thing that he liked. Of course, I
Yeah,
don't-
he was not allowed to be filmed below the waist or something. Was that true? Was there
on
some-
television,
on
yeah, on the
TV?
Ed Sullivan show. I
He was
believe.
too
Waist
sexy
up.
for
Yeah.
the 50s.
He was
Giles has the
simply
same
too
thing.
sexy.
He's not actually allowed to display. Dizzy hips, Brandreth can't break him out, can't bust him
Yeah.
out for TV.
He's actually hulaing right now.
Yeah.
All right, that's exactly.
Which brings us to the unappealing nether regions of our show, the place that we call general ignorance. So hands on horns, if you'd be so kind. What should you do with your head if you have a nosebleed? Yes. You have to answer once you press the buzzer.
I'm doing it.
You should do that with your head.
Pressing.
Pressing
Your lip.
pressing the bit about the pressing this
No.
bit below the nose.
No.
Because the nose. Actually, not worry. A nosebleed won't harm you.
Okay. You might stain your clothes.
You might stain your clothes, but a nosebleed's all right. I mean, you could lie back.
Oh,
Oh, it's a bit.
oh, you're so angry. You're so competitive. I like it.
No, no.
The point is, yeah,
Not
most
tilted
people
back.
think you should tilt back.
No, I remember this. Because,
down
you know,
your throat then, it's horrible.
No.
And of course, you can get it into lungs if it goes down the wrong way.
and worse than that, this is why I should have remembered this. You lie back, it goes into you, but you could also, have a nosebleed through your eyes. It is possible to have a nosebleed that comes out of these bits.
Eye bleed.
Eye bleed.
An eye
Oh, I
Yes,
love
but
an eye bleed.
it's a sort of misdirected nosebleed. Wrong to call it an eye bleed.
All right.
Because it's coming out from the nose part.
Just
of it.
tilt your head forward from
Through
now
the
on, love.
eustachian tube. Or...
So the point is, forwards, not
Forwards,
back.
not back.
Right.
Always
I
forwards,
see.
not back.
Well, if it lasts for longer than 20 minutes, it is very much recommended to seek medical advice. And if you've caused it from anything other than the most common causes, which would be what?
Bouncy castle.
A bouncy castle, a classic, yeah.
Inevitable.
Oh, it's bound to happen.
Another
no.
one is being punched in the face.
Right.
That's one, yeah. That can bring it on. Look, there you are.
That would
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
That would do it.
Yeah,
Tilt your
that's,
head forward, love.
can you name them? I think that's Larry Holmes and
Sphinx, is it?
And the other one.
Ray Mercer. Merciless Ray Mercer, that is. Then there are various others. Blowing your nose too hard. Picking your nose, picking a little
Do.
bit too
Picking your nose,
violently.
poking it.
Yeah. You shouldn't tilt your head back if you have a nosebleed. It can be dangerous. Tilt your head forwards and pinch your nose just like that. Simple as that. And then eventually, after about 12 minutes or so, it'll clot naturally. What might happen if you swallow your tongue, however? Yeah.
Nothing. I don't believe you can swallow your tongue.
Is the right answer. Absolutely. That sort of busybody person who comes forward and says lots of hot sweet tea when someone's fainted or had a seizure, and they say, oh, you know, do this and pull the tongue down because they might swallow it. It's just nonsense. You can't swallow your own tongue. It can't be
But
done.
what do they mean then when they say that? 'Cause
Well,
I've
it
heard
might
that
obstruct an airway, possibly. It's very rare.
If you have a bash and you bite it or something, it
Oh, you can
swells up.
bite your tongue, yeah, but you can't swallow it. You can't. I mean, there was literally this idea that you could, as it were, it goes backwards and down your throat and causes you to choke. That just cannot happen. And finally, why shouldn't you crack your knuckles?
Oh.
Is there lasting damage? Can you do lasting damage on the bone? Oh,
Oh, you just did it.
Oh, no.
problems?
Oh.
Later in life?
But I think it's an old wives' tale that actually, if you do that, it causes arthritis. Yeah. Because there was a famous doctor called Dr. Unger who believed that it did, and for 50 years, this doctor every day cracked the knuckles on his left hand and didn't on his right.
Well, but the story
And
is that his mother, when he was very young, he cracked the knuckles on both hands. And his mother said, you do that, honey, you'll get arthritis. And he thought, well, being of a scientific turn of mind already as a child,
You'll go get
he thought,
arthritis.
I will, he thought, I will test this by only doing it on the fingers of my left hand.
arthritis, and I'll show you how.
Exactly. So he did it on his left hand only, and for 60 years he cracked it. And then he had various tests, and there was no suggestion of arthritis on the left hand more than the
So
right.
you can crack
and
your
he
knuckle.
apparently shouted up, you were wrong, mother, you were wrong.
I wasted my life.
You were wrong, Daddy, you were wrong.
Well, there we are. That is indeed the answer. You can't get arthritis from cracking your knuckles. At worst, you could end up with a limp handshake, and goodness knows what impression that'll give people. Which handily brings us to the heart of the matter, the scores. Oh, and the winner who really used his head, they're two heads, because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie for first place. On -8, it's Gyles and Sue. Oh, but missing out on a hair's breadth with -12, Bill Bailey. Throwing his hands up in the air on -25, Alan Davies. So, all that's left for me is to thank Sue, Gyles, Bill, and, of course, Alan. And I leave you with this. It's an anatomy lesson. In order to accustom medical students to the business of getting used to dead human flesh, an anatomy professor basically said to the class, look, you've got to get used to doing this. I need one of you students to come forward, your first year. He stood him by the body and said, you've got to do what I do. And he put his finger up the rectum of this dead body, like that, and then just sucked it. Said, I know, but you've got to learn how to be a doctor. So this medical student put his finger up like that, went like that. He said, the other thing about being a doctor is you must be observant. I put my middle finger up the rectum and sucked my image. Thank you and goodbye.
Nick Clegg, George Michael, and even the Pope. Nobody's safe from Mock the Week next here on BBC Two. Then James Corden surrounded by beautiful women. I must try getting into comedy. He's one of the guests on the Rob Brydon Show at 10:50.